There is probably just one specific personality type that will be the best hire for your company. I will explain more about this in this video. Welcome to Dave Talks Business.
We have Dave Kramer, the founder of All Pro Web Tools.
Dave has worn many hats over the years as a small businessman.
Well, you know, I really feel that small business is the core of the American economy. Amen.
Last week in my group training class, I explained how to find the best personality type to hire for your company and how to identify each candidate's personality type. Check it out.
What I want to talk to everybody about is the different personality types. We've all heard of introverts and extroverts, right? But there are several different ways to model personality types. And when you think about a model, like a model of the solar system, you know, with the balls that rotate, right? It's not a perfect model. It's just a way to represent so that you can explain to others how the Earth rotates around the sun and how Mars rotates around the sun. It's just a way to represent it. It's not a perfect representation. And there are many different models for personalities. And there are some that have been in use for a really long time in business. And one of them is called the DISC assessment. So you may have heard of that one. And there's another one called the Briggs and Myers test. And I'm seeing head nods. This is awesome. And then there's a new one that everybody's talking about, which is called anagrams. So the one that I've personally been using the most is the Myers-Briggs. So that's the one we're going to talk about today, but everything I'm talking about, you can translate to any other model that you want to use. So what I like about the Myers-Briggs is it breaks everybody up into one of 16 different personality types. And what happens is you take this test and it assigns you a 4-letter score, and that is your personality type. And the first letter is either an I or an E, and that references to introvert or extrovert. And what I really like about this test is that you can ask new hires before you hire them to take this test, and it can be part of your interview process. And what's really cool about it is if you have them take it before they come in for their face-to-face interview, you can use it to ask them questions about their personality and how they interact with certain situations or other people. So it's really, for me, it's been a great tool for getting to know somebody that just walked into your office for the first time. And the test is available for free. We're small business owners. We love free, right? So you can ask them to go to 16personalities.com. It's 16 and then personalities.com. And you can send that when they respond to your job offer request and they want to apply and they want to send their resume. You can reply back and say, yeah, we'd like to have you for an interview on Friday. Can you please go to 16personalities.com and bring your 4-letter score in with you? So what you can do with this information, if you think about your best employee in your company and you think, man, if I could just clone that person, if I could just create duplicates of that person, wouldn't that be awesome? Well, the closest thing you can do to duplicating them is duplicating their 4-letter score. So if you know that you've been in business for, let's say, 8 years, and you've been collecting all these 4-letter scores for all these different staff, you will start to see a pattern. And every company's pattern is different. In my office, we're more of an office environment. We don't expect people to lift heavy things or to, be in the mud or drive trucks or any of those kinds of things. They're just sitting in an office. But there's a certain personality type that works best in that office environment. So for us, the ideal is an ENFJ. And we have not been specifically looking for ENFJs. But what we found was when we did our interview process and then later found out what their letter score was, or after we hired them and then we would have them take the test, every one of them was coming back ENFJ. So for some reason, that is an awesome match for our office environment. But what was really neat when we went over this with Kelly yesterday was her 4-letter scores were completely different. Do you happen to remember what those were, Kelly? Actually, you know what? I have them right
Yeah,
here.
you know what? I don't remember them and they're downstairs. Sorry.
It's okay. I have them. So what was really interesting was that Kelly and her spouse are identical with the 4 letters.
Ooh.
Which we've all heard that opposites attract, right? Well,
Yeah, not good or bad.
yeah, that's interesting. So Kelly and Mike are ISTJ. So the I being introvert. And then her staff, what was interesting, she had 2 of them that were SJs. So the J is judging and the S is sensing. So I found that very interesting. And we've never seen that combination in our office when we've hired people. So I think, Kelly, you're going to notice over time, because you and your husband are SJs as well. So that's a huge pattern there. And you have introverts in your office. So you start to see that pattern. Now, here's what's interesting. If you hire somebody and you can tell that they're not happy with the job and they're having all kinds of conflict and they're not getting along with the other people in the office, and you run the 4-letter score, you may find they're a little different. And that might be something to consider when you are interviewing someone else for a position in your company. If their letter scores don't quite match, it's something to have a conversation with them about. Now, we're not saying that you want an entire office with exact same letter scores, because that can get very boring, redundant, and there can still be problems. So it is good to actually segment your company and understand that you may have customer service people, and they're typically going to be more of the extroverts. And then you may have service providers. So for me, I have programmers, and the programmers write the software, and they don't like talking to humans. And we learned that 10 years ago, and we stopped letting them pick up phones and talk to the customers. And we realized that we had to hire different people who were the extroverts. And it was interesting because the extroverts or the introvert programmers couldn't stand being around the extroverts because they're so happy all the time and they're talking and they're loud. And the programmers were like, can I just go hide in a hole somewhere? And they're perfectly happy in a dark room programming computers. So that's in our own company. We have 2 completely separate letter scores that we hire for. So you may want to consider that if you have people that are working outside the office and they're swinging hammers and they're being more active, they may have a different score. As Kelly and I were talking yesterday, the thing about the introverts, especially the INTJs like me, is that they don't talk a lot, but when they do, it's because it's on a topic that they absolutely love and absorb. Like they're just so absorbed in that, and they'll talk about it for days and days. So I know Kelly said that she kind of felt that way too. So that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to help Tabitha out with her staff. So Tabitha has her scores for everybody. So Tabitha, if you can give us their names.
Do you want me to just type it in the chat?
You can do that. Yeah, give us their name and their score.
Okay, sure. Okay, that's 4 of us, right? Yeah, 4 of us. There we go.
All right, great. So
I'm assertive.
You've got a lot of P's
No
there.
way.
So P, I believe, is perceptive.
Perceiving. Yeah. What is that?
Yeah. So if you just take just the word, you might apply like the English dictionary definition to the word, but the Myers-Briggs has a more broad explanation of what those are. So I would encourage you guys to look those up and really kind of understand the personalities of your staff. Another thing this helps with a lot is when you have to coach or counsel them. Different people take confrontation differently. And if you understand their personality, somebody who's an extrovert might get loud in a confrontation, and they might be more assertive about their opinion about why they did the thing that they did. Whereas an introvert might kind of curl up and just kind of say, yeah, okay. And so if you kind of understand that going into it, you can apply different strategies to get their attention and really get them to speak up and tell you what's on their mind. So looking at Tabitha's list here, she's got a lot of the P's, the perceiving, and F, feeling. Now that does not surprise me in your industry.
Or females.
Well, yeah, it does skew a lot more to females, but also just that you're doing something, what you produce, right? You create balloons and decor, which does what to the people when they walk in the room?
It gives us happiness and emotion.
Right. And you guys love causing that in other people. You're a very giving person. You like to cause other people to have those happy feelings. So it does not surprise me that every single person in your company has that F. So that would be a pattern that you see now that you will want to look for when you go to hire your next person, is make sure they have that F. And then
what is the S for the sensing?
Sensing, yeah. I mean, that just makes sense to me. Sensing and feeling, right? Sensing and feeling, that's awesome. And then the extrovert is probably going to be something important for you too. I think you would have a lot of extroverts who would want to be involved with people and causing those emotions and feelings in people. Kelly, you're nodding a lot. What are you thinking?
I'm agreeing with all of the things that you're saying. I'm also laughing at the fact that I don't have any of those letters and I'm in the same business.
Right.
Partially.
I was thinking the same thing. Yep.
Cheryl, my introvert, ISFP, she is the more difficult employee to deal with. She's the more negative employee. She is my lead, so she is the most skilled. But often if she's grumpy, it makes everybody uncomfortable and hard to be around. And I don't know how to deal with grumpiness other than like, hey, leave it at the door. Come in and have fun.
Let's be happy. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to deal with grumpy.
Does anybody have any ideas for Tabitha?
Well, I know that saying, what's your problem, is not the way to do it.
That's not
We've
it.
tried that.
That's not it.
So here's what I would suggest, because I am an introvert. Introverts obviously tend to internalize things and think things through in their head, and they can get really spun up in their own head. Extroverts are going to be more vocal, like, hey, why'd you step on my toe, right? But an introvert's like, why'd they step on my toe? They probably don't like me. I remember that one time they did that other thing and they add that together. Yeah, they definitely don't like me. And they just start going crazy in their own head. But an extrovert's just going to speak up when something happens. So if she's being grumpy, she probably needs a one-on-one session. And it doesn't need to be confrontational like what Kelly was saying. It can just be like, literally, how is your day going today? And I know we've all asked those kinds of questions, and the kind of answers we get are, it's fine, it's okay, right? So what I've learned is to use the Likert scale. With every employee I talk to, I say, on a scale of 1 to 5, what number would you say your day is today? And I will break that down like crazy. Like I'll say, on a scale of 1 to 5, how happy do you feel today? On a scale of 1 to 5, how excited are you to be at work today? On a scale of 1 to 5, how was your morning? On a scale of 1 to 5, how is traffic getting here? And so you can really pull that information out and get actual numbers from people. And
as an extrovert, it's so crazy to think that somebody just won't just tell you what's on their mind. Like, I don't even understand the thought process of that.
Exactly.
The other thing is have you noticed a trend in when she's grumpy? Is she grumpy when there are a lot of you guys around talking, or because as an introvert, well, I'm 50-50, so I don't know what I am today. But I know that introverted people really don't always want to be around other people either. They kind of like their own space and their own, they're just their own haven, and sometimes they just want to think and they don't really want to talk, and I know that probably doesn't work well with your business either. But
Trina, you nailed it.
That was awesome. That was a great definition of things. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Does that help, Tabitha?
Yes.
Okay. Because Kelly's an introvert, I'm an introvert, so we're both nodding our heads with what Trina said. Like that, yes. And
I wouldn't
think
have
about
thought that, Kelly.
Kelly's extreme introvert, 97%.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
If you ever want to ask me why is she being crabby today, I'll let me know. I'll tell you.
if you apply kind of the story I said about programmers don't want to be around the people who are talking on the phone, exactly what Trina said. So it is that, I didn't even think of that, but that's absolutely possible that it's just a day where you guys are all being loud and happy and having fun with balloons, and they're over there like just kind of going crazy in their own head. It makes a lot of sense.
I know a lot of times I have to actually work to listen to people because I'm in my own head. I'm making my balloons. I'm doing my payroll. I'm doing whatever. And if somebody's actually talking to me, I have to stop and actually like listen to people. And that's hard. And so it could be just overwhelmed, especially like these people have been saying, you know, there's so much going on that gets to be overwhelming to have to stop and listen to what's going on around you. So it could just be, yeah, a feeling of being overwhelmed.
Yeah, and that's why I said take them off to a separate room. And that, to some people, feels like, ooh, I'm getting in trouble, right? But to an introvert, if you kind of approach it the right way, they're actually happy to be removed from the noisy environment and have a one-on-one conversation. Introverts tend to not like to be the center of attention with lots of people, but one-on-one, they love those conversations. And I like how Tabitha was surprised that Kelly was an introvert, because you guys have a great relationship and you also have something in common. So like I said before, introverts love talking about the thing that they're good at. So that's why you probably didn't notice that with Kelly, because you've always had those conversations.
Hey, thanks for watching. So how did I do? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have an idea for a video I should do in the future, you can put that in the comments too. I also have a free small business resource toolkit available on my website. You can find the link in the description below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. And you can also subscribe right here. And there's another great video that will help your small business right here.